This psalm was written to celebrate the Lord's faithfulness to his people. The writer steps through how his ancestors were repeatedly unfaithful to the Lord, despite the way in which he rescued them and continually provided for them. It is tempting to imagine that we are different, that we are not unresponsive to his care and love. But do we need to take a long, hard look at ourselves too? Psalm 106, Reimagined. Acclaim the Lord. Pay tribute to the Lord, for he is kind-hearted. His love is dependable and inexhaustible. Has anyone tried to list the number of times the Lord has done amazing things which only he can do? Can anyone speak highly enough of him? There is pleasure for those who are fair in all their relationships, who always do the best they can. Lord, include me in the people to whom you show special kindness. Please come close and set me free. May I know the success and well-being of being a member of your family. Let me join the generations as they celebrate all that you have done. We have wronged him as our parents did and their parents before them. We have been ruthless and corrupt. We are like our ancestors when they were in Egypt. They were not convinced by the extraordinary things which were done for them. They chose to ignore the ways he showed them compassion. When they were cornered at the Red Sea, they did nothing but complain about him. Regardless of this, he delivered them to show that he keeps his promises and that he can do extraordinary things. He told the sea to become dry land, and all the people walked through on solid ground. In doing this, he delivered them from the army bearing down on them, and he saved them from certain captivity. Their enemies thought that they could follow, but the sea reverted, and all were drowned. At this time the people believed his pledges, and they sang their tributes to him. They soon put these events behind them, neglecting to take his advice because they wanted things their own way. Despite being in a challenging environment, they craved rich food, like the food they claimed to have had in slavery, questioning God's love and ability to provide. He allowed them to have their own way, but a deadly epidemic spread among them, and many died. Later, a group of rebels became jealous of Moses, their leader, and Aaron the priest, chosen by the Lord. An earthquake shook the camp, and the leaders of the rebels, Dathan and Abiram, were swallowed up with their fellow conspirators. Fire also fell on the rest of their followers, consuming all who had supported the uprising. Whilst camped at Mount Sinai, the people built a calf of gold and made it the object of their devotion. They stopped adoring their magnificent liberator and worshipped instead the sculpture of a simple farm animal. They dismissed the God who had liberated them by his remarkable demonstrations of power in Egypt, the incredible feats in the land of their slavery, and astounding exploits at the Red Sea. He told Moses, his appointed leader, of his intention to destroy the people. But Moses mediated for the people and persuaded the Lord to forgive them and stick with them. When the opportunity came for the people to inhabit the land, the people feared the worst and did not accept his promise to protect them. They protested about what they were being asked to do. They dug their heels in and said no to the Lord's requests. He decided that they would continue to live in the desert until the current generation had died off, and that if future generations refused his guidance, they would be separated and spread amongst the nations. Next, our ancestors were tempted into following the God of an opposing nation, engaging in all of their shameful practices. He was upset with all they did. An epidemic broke out amongst them. Phinehas was bold enough to intervene, and the spread of the sickness stopped. For this he will ever be held up as an example of someone who does what is right. At Meribah as well they upset him and led Moses to behave unwisely. Moses himself grew impatient with them and this led him to say some foolish things. When they finally entered the land, the people failed to destroy their enemies as the Lord had instructed. They lost their integrity by intermingling with people who did not love him, and they followed their depraved practices. They became devoted to their deities, and it became their undoing. Their sons and daughters were offered to the gods and slaughtered. Their children who had done no wrong were put to death. To satisfy an imagined God, they cheapened life, and murder became the norm. These corrupt and cruel actions polluted their hands and minds, and they fell out of love with him. The Lord became exasperated with those he had rescued, and he recoiled from his intention that they should be his own unique people. He let events run their course, and they became the slaves of unbelieving rulers who loathed them. They were smashed by their adversaries and controlled with vicious oppression. He repeatedly liberated them, and yet each time they defied him, and their offences led to their destruction. Despite this, he heard their pleas for help, and he was tender-hearted when he saw their suffering. He recalled his promises to them, and he gave way to his inexhaustible love. He even ensured that their incarcerators showed them compassion. Free us, Lord our Creator. Bring us back together, the refugees and the captives, from all the places where we are scattered. We can then gather together and thank you for all that you have done, and we can take delight in acclaiming you. Pay tribute to the Lord the Creator, who is there at the start of all things and will be at the end. Let everyone agree to do this. Acclaim the Lord.